Hi everyone, my name is Krissy and I'm the Director of Education and Outreach for the Children's Museum Easton, and I'm with you today to read my favorite children's book, Where the Wild Things Are, and to share a STEAM activity to go along with it. So let's get started. So, Where the Wild Things Are. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another, his mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars, and they gnashed their terrible teeth, and they rolled their terrible eyes, and they showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with a magic trick of staring into all of their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." So here goes the party, and they're celebrating under the moon, swinging from the trees, and having a parade. "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around from far away, across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars, and they gnashed their terrible teeth, and they rolled their terrible eyes, and they showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat, and he waved goodbye, and sailed back over a year, and in and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. The end. Oh, Max. So let's get ready to do a STEAM activity, to go along with Where the Wild Things Are. Here is a quick and fun STEAM activity to go along with Where the Wild Things Are. What I usually like to do is talk about boats. This is an activity called Float My Boat, or what we call Float My Boat. But before I do that, I usually like to talk about boats, just to kind of give the idea or explain that there's not one shaped boat out there, that there's lots of different shapes. Like, for example, these are some examples of kayaks. So you might see some of these around here locally, maybe in some ponds or lakes. But then you might go somewhere, let's say into Boston, or maybe down to the canal in the Cape, and you might see some big barges like this, which are very, very different shape. Let's see, you might, again, maybe somewhere bigger, Boston, or maybe Gloucester, or somewhere Plymouth, where you might see something like a sailboat, very different. You might see a rowboat. So there's lots of different shapes, just to kind of get the idea that there's not one style of boat. And in the book that we read, Max had his own boat. He had a special boat that took him to the island of where the wild things are. So his boat was a little bit different. Today, what we're going to do is build our own boat out of, well, there's two ways you can do it. First, we're going to build our own boat made out of tin foil. So what I do is ask friends to think of whatever style boat that they would like to do and see if you can come up with a design using tin foil. So I think I'm going to do one that's kind of like a canoe. And so, most importantly, I want to make sure that my boat floats, but also is safe for my dogs. So I have, that's what I'm going to use to test my boat today. So I grabbed some things from my office, and so these are my little dog statues. These are little manipulatives I have in my office. These are little counters. And I'm going to see how many of my little dogs my boat can hold without it taking on water. So let's see. I think my design is, I don't know, I think my design is looking okay. With one piece of tin foil, no tape, no glue. That's the challenge. So what I've done is I have a bucket, a container of water, and I'm just going to see if my boat floats. I'm going to see. It floats, so I passed the first test. Now I'm going to challenge it and see if it holds one of my counters. Oh, it holds a dog. Now you might not have one of these sets of counters, and that's okay. The idea is to find something around your home that you have multiples of. So even if you can't find something like marbles or Legos or Matchbox cars, maybe you can go outside and find something like pebbles or rocks or anything that you can think of, anything that you can find that you have, you know, more than 5 of, maybe, let's say. If this dog's lying down, that might not be a good thing. I don't know if it can fit in there. Oh, I got 2 in there. Let's see, can I get 3 in? Oh, it's starting to weigh down. Oh, it's starting to tip a little bit. So when I talk about building a boat, what I like to talk about too is buoyancy. So buoyancy is the idea that something has the ability to float in water. So it's looking a little tipsy. 2, 4, 5. I've got 5 in there. So try this at home and challenge yourself. Maybe challenge some others around. Oh, I think we're starting to hit the ground. Oh, my boat has water in it. Oh no! So my boat has taken in water. So my challenge is over. Sorry, dogs. So my challenge is over. So what I would do is I would start again. I would try a different design. So that's one of the ways you can do it. You could also actually try it with clay or Play-Doh. It actually does float. The only issue with it is once you do it, it's very hard to use the Play-Doh or the clay again. You have to let it dry. So it's kind of like a once and done. So something to think about. So try this activity. It's a fun one. It's a great one to do outside, especially on warm days too. So hope you have fun with this one and challenge each other and explore STEAM at home. Have a great day.